So nice. How
Yeah.
can I help you
So
today, Kevin?
yeah. So I know you on YouTube since 1 week.
Yeah? Oh, well, not long. I thought you were just about to
Yeah.
say like 5 years, but 1 week.
No, no, no.
We're
One
not
week.
running with a long
But
time here.
but I do watch listened to a lot of your content on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I'm a coach. I help people going through the emotional healing journey, right?
Nice.
And I discovered the non-duality. I think. Uh, I mean, I always knew about it, but I went in depth. So like 1 month ago,
Okay.
and so I started to learn. I'm watching your content because you have a really nice transmission. Like it's very natural. You really go with the flow. And yeah, I was just curious to know if you could share your secrets about how are you able to stay in the flow like you do and just transmit all of these different things. I mean, how much of it is knowledge, things that you studied,
Yeah.
and how much of this is just coming from the now?
Um, well, that's a complex question.
Yeah.
Everything's coming from the now. Like, so
Yeah.
really, like my speaking, my looking, everything is coming from the now. But I don't speak Japanese, I don't speak French, I don't speak Italian. So it's not, it comes through Lisa with her current conditioning and knowledge. Like, so it comes through with the Lisa flavor to it. So if I had never studied non-duality in the way that I had in the past, I'm sure I wouldn't speak about it the way I speak about it. It would have a different flavor. So all the teachers that I've been with and met have had an influence on the way that this is spoken about now. But then at the same time, it's being spoken about from now. So even though this knowledge seems to have come from the past, it's almost like that past is here and present. It's so on the true answer, the ultimate answer is that everything comes from the now. You never can have anything that comes from the past or the future. So that's, but it appears in apparent cause and effect. I remember when my teacher first explained this to me, and I remember it being a real light bulb moment, but it might not be for you. We all work differently. Is that he explained it to me in the image of an old-fashioned film. You know those films where they used to have it on a roll and thousands of pictures used to go through a light, and that gave the film on the screen. I don't think they project it like that anymore. I think it's all digital. I don't know how they do it, but in the olden days, it used to be loads of pictures all put together, running really quickly, giving the appearance of a film on the screen. So in actuality, it was still shots that never moved, like they were pictures. And then those pictures moved at a rapid speed, and it gave the appearance of a whole world happening on the screen. So it gave the appearance that there was all this movement and life happening. And that's what it's always like now. There is this emptiness, this stillness, this silence, this consciousness that's experiencing. And then there's all these pictures rapidly put together, giving the appearance of a whole life out there that's happening. So it gives the appearance of all this past that's happened, and it's running through this moment, this light, this stillness of who you are. So what we think, so you can't see this, but people at home can see this, is I'm moving my hand quickly, or not quickly, slowly actually, but I'm moving my hand. And we think that we're actually seeing a hand moving, but actually we're never actually seeing anything but the moment of what we're seeing, and then everything else is memory. So so if my hand is flat, and if I move it from upwards to downwards, we think that we're seeing that movement, but actually we're only ever seeing stillness. We're seeing this instant now with the memory of what has happened. It's really amazing and spectacular. Your nature is still. Your nature is never moved. Your nature is this still watching, and then in that there's all this appearance of movement. Just like a kaleidoscope, when you watch a kaleidoscope, like you've got all these shapes appearing out of something. Like really it's like 3 or 4 or 5 different colors in there, giving the appearance of a whole world of all these patterns. And that's what's happening for everyone right now. But for some people, there is more or less identification. When you're really identified, you're really suffering. And when you're less identified, there is less suffering. When you're totally not identified, you're more than likely dead or detached from the body or having some form of psychosis or oneness experience. You can't be totally disidentified with the body. You can have those experiences, but there needs to be some form of identification with the body, otherwise you just end up in a madhouse. You can't move, you can't function, because your absolute nature is stillness. Your absolute nature is this consciousness that doesn't have a mind, doesn't have thoughts, doesn't know anything. It just is watching. It's just experiencing itself.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then that consciousness, it's not consciously creating this, so it's not in there thinking about creating this, but it creates this person that feels like it's real and feels like it's really existing here. So the other question you asked me is, what do I do to stay present? And really it's got nothing to do with Lisa. To me, Lisa is a character that's appearing in the dream, and she comes and goes and is always changing. But she's like the wind, she's like the sunlight, but she's more of a constant than the sunlight or the wind or everything else. But she's not the experiencer, she's not who I am, and I'm not limited to her. Before, there was like this energetic shift. Before, when there was total identification with her, like I felt like my consciousness and her, the character, were one and the same thing, and I couldn't see the difference. And then these awakening experiences happening and listening to non-duality, and this sort of detachment from that happened, and it was seen, but not Lisa seeing, it was seen beyond Lisa, that that my essence is always still and always present and nothing to do with the form. So I don't maintain it in any way. And I still work on the character, so I still have dysfunction in my character, I still have neurosis or difficulties or even dramas. Not so many dramas, life is quite undramatic at the moment. The biggest drama I had in the last couple of days when my car failed its MOT, or control technique we call it in France, but that's not a big drama.
Yeah.
So like there's the so she still has her drama, but it's that's like just something that's happening. It's like just like the wind, it's just like the breeze. It's like, yeah, Lisa can be messed up sometimes, and Lisa can, I'm talking about in the third person, like I can say I as well. I can be messed up sometimes, and I need to do work on myself or get a bigger perspective on life. But that's not the freedom, that's always changing. And I think it's beautiful work. I always recommend everyone to work on themselves. But that's not the experience. So that is an experience. And the idea that that person is going to arrive at enlightenment and become enlightened keeps you inside the dream, or perpetuates the dream that you'll one day become enlightened through your efforts. Whose efforts? There is nobody that has efforts. There is nobody but this moment. And most people, when they get into this subject and they do a lot of personal work and self-help, and I think it's really advisable, because normally once there's been identification for a long period of time, there can become a lot of suffering in that person and a lot of density, and they're really identified with it. And working through patterns and understanding things can relax that, but that person never makes it.
Yeah. But so who is the one that is identified with it? I mean, if we are consciousness, what is that is identified with the conditioned?
With the personality. But with the personality structure, you mean, or the conditions?
Yeah, with the personality structure. As an example, you say that there is a strong identification.
Yeah.
But who is the one that is identified, right? That's
to me, it's like it's just an energy. The identification is like a sticky energy, like like Velcro or glue or something. But there isn't a who that is identified. It's just an energy which is holding on to that person. It's just something that seems to form in humanity, but it's completely impersonal. It's just like a zooming in on a particular area of the dream, and then this belief, but it's not belonging to anyone, or it's this dynamic that makes consciousness, so the looking and that personality, one and the same thing, where it's not one and the same thing. The personality is an experience that comes and goes. So it's completely impersonal. Identification is nothing to, it's nobody's doing, it's nobody's fault. It's a happening. It's part of the human condition. It happens to most people, I think. And there needs to be a certain amount of identification to work in this society. If you didn't have some identification, you really would be insane or absolute idiot. Maybe that's rude what I said, an absolute idiot, but I mean like you wouldn't be able to do anything. You wouldn't be able to like write your name or like you wouldn't even know what paper or pen was. You'd just be like
I actually call them programs, so these are programs that we have to clear out. All right, so so I really like non-duality because for all the things that I tried, it seems like the thing that go directly to the end, so we start from the end here. And it's something very powerful in my own work, because now I have like the consciousness that I'm already here. There is no a journey that I need to do. So I was like working for a long time with the letting go approach. But in an unconscious way, I was believing that I had to let go and then get to some point. Now I still do the same letting go approach. Like I still listen to the sensation. I'm still present with them. But I start with the assumption that I'm already arrived. And now I just have to clear out the illusion from this place of being. And it's getting way more powerful.
And that's an important distinction, because there's nothing wrong with, like, that seems to go hand in hand, is that the person surrenders more and more to itself, but then there comes a point when it's realized that the one that's surrendering or trying to surrender is part of the dream. And sometimes the person, we have a saying in England, like throwing the bath water out with the baby, like the baby out with the bath water. I got it wrong then. So it's like throwing out too much. So some people get into non-duality and then they think, I've got to stop all spiritual work, or I can't do this anymore because it's illusion. But the person's always going to do something, and it seems like the person becomes more relaxed and contented in itself when it's not resisting life. It becomes more balanced and in flow.
That's powerful. Thank you very much, Lisa. Appreciate it.
With pleasure. Lovely speaking with you. There's a lady that teaches in Italy. I used to go and do talks at her place. Really lovely lady called, she's really popular now, called Shakti. I don't know if you've heard of her.
Shakti.
Yeah, she speaks in Italian. Caterina I've forgotten her name. She speaks in English and Italian, and she lives in Milan, I think.
Yeah, that's where I'm from, actually.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So her name's Shakti, but that's her spiritual name. I don't know what her.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for her. Yeah.
I've forgotten her name for some reason.
All right.
So nice, lovely to speak to you. Thanks for calling.
I appreciate you. Keep it up. Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.